Hello. I don't know. Have no idea if this is working or not. We're gonna give it a go. This is my first ever stream, so I have no idea what to expect. We're just gonna give it a whirl, see what happens, and yeah, that's about it. So basically, I'm gonna be working on my game Star Mining Co. If you've never heard of it before, don't blame you. There should be a link in the description where you can check it out on Steam. But basically, it's a roguelike game. I'll show you that in a second. We're gonna be basically working on something to do with the special items. So uh, it's a very new thing being added to the game, and basically it'll allow you to interact with the world in a different way. Because at the moment, I may as well just show you what the hell is going on. So if I run the game, so this is part of the new thing. This screen, I've got it in here now just for development purposes. It'll be after bosses. You'll be able to choose a new special item, as the top bit says very clearly. At the moment, the terrain bomb is already unlocked, so you can upgrade it, or if there's locked ones, you can unlock them. And so you'll only be able to, at the moment, I'm thinking, you'll only be able to upgrade or unlock things after bosses. Um, and so, yeah, that's the screen at the moment. Need to get rid of this. But so at the end of each asteroid, there is a boss. And so once you've defeated that boss, you'll be able to unlock a new bomb or upgrade an existing one. And I think in the future, it won't just be bombs. I think there will be other items as well. But for now, I'm just getting the bombs working, and that's the basic idea behind it. I think at the moment, if I try and yeah, okay, I think that'll crash because I've hacked in at the moment that screen at the start to choose your bomb, but you don't get to choose any items, and I think that crashes it. So I'm just gonna pop that back. Gee, my microphone's like right in the way. Can't see the keyboard. You'd think I'd be able to touch type by now, and I think I mostly can, but not 100% always. So if I do this, because I think by default, yeah, I unlock the terrain bomb. So now I've also hacked in some overpowered drill bits to get me started, just so I can actually test things out properly. So if I shoot, oh, there's a bug there sometimes when if I misclick, like if I click the asteroid the first time, it doesn't always register. So I need to fix that. But yeah, if I select that, and yeah, this works now. So you'll see that down, if I drop the asteroid, you can see that this bomb thing here says not ready. This needs a lot of work as well, because and this is what we're going to be doing in today's stream, is when I hover over this, it needs to tell you, basically, you mine resources that get used when you use a bomb. So it'll be a bit of a choice about when to use a bomb, because it'll use up resources that you've mined, and obviously resources that you've mined are what get you money, and money is basically your health. So you got to decide, is it worth using a bomb or not? And I can't remember what resource. See, this is why this needs so much work, because I can't remember what resource this bomb requires in order to be used. And as you can see, it just says it's not ready. So I need to sort all that out. So if I have a look at I've got in here somewhere. It's been a little while since I've worked on the game as well, so you'll have to forgive me. I'm a bit rusty. But in here, in the draw functions, we've got this display item charges, and basically it takes in the item, and I think it should. Yeah. Oh, so it just is always putting in that it's not ready, I think. So that's not very helpful. So I'm going to have to figure out how to display the right thing here. If we have a look at my task for this, there's a few little things. So actually this is done. So you saw that screen right at the start. That's where you can choose the different unlocks and upgrades. But I do need to add in these tooltips on it so you can actually see what you're unlocking. So each thing needs a description. And then it also needs to show the stats of that thing. And then if you're upgrading it, what those stats are, like what the previous and the new stats will be once you upgrade it. And then during the gameplay, it takes in, resources to make it charge up. So I need to display that charging. And then when you hover over it, it should tell you what resource you need to charge it up. So for the moment, I'll just show you what it looks like at the moment, because I've shared it on my Discord, but obviously not on here. It's been a little while since I've had a devlog on YouTube. So I will have a look at the... Actually, I need to keep an eye on the chat. Hello, Everett. How are you going? Hope you're doing well. So yeah, I need to have a look at... I'll just show you what the actual bombs look like. I need to figure out how to do that, because I've sort of half hacked in some stuff here to make it work how it should, compared to the completely hacked version that I had before. So I need to half hack it to fully hack it so that I can show you what we're working with at the moment. But as you can see, there's 3 different bomb types. There's a terrain bomb, a fog bomb, and an air bomb. I think I should be able to go into items. Can users just always set to true? Okay, that should make it easier, I think. So I think I already had it half hacked. So if I choose an asteroid, I don't really need to do this because I've got an drill bit. So I think if I click on this, yeah, okay. So I can actually just throw it already. I think it's super weak though. Maybe I need to make it a lot stronger. Let's do that. So in the item manager, strength. Let me set that to like 15. This is probably completely overpowered now. I think these KPIs need to go. They were an effort to basically, I don't know, maybe you guys have a better idea, but essentially what it was is you could mine, if you mined this quantity of each of these 3 resources in the duration of 1 asteroid belt, you would get the reward. And that was in an effort to force a player to sort of have to mine and explore more on the asteroid. So they have to mine different resources and they have to like go after specific things rather than just mine as much as possible, essentially. But I think maybe it's just the execution of it is poor, but I think they're a bit cluttered. Anyway, ignore all that. So hopefully now they're a bit stronger and we can see the effect of it. No, for some reason. Oh, there we go. That was really strong. I think maybe there's a bug where if I haven't mined something first, then I can't use the bomb. That seems plausible. I'll chuck it down here. I'll have to look into that. I'm going to make a little note of that, actually. I got like 2 notepads on my desk, and I always confuse which one I should be using for what. I need to probably go down to 1 notebook. So let me see. I guess that won't really matter because in order to use the bomb, you have to have mined some resources. Yeah, you'll have to mine resources to be able to use the bomb. So I think this is probably a bug that won't ever occur. It's just because I've hacked in that you can always use this. So I'll have to think about that. But yeah, so in the meantime, this is what the bombs look like. So there's 3 different types. This one, as you can see, explodes the terrain. I didn't do a very good job of using it then. But as you can see, it doesn't clear the fog. So there's a fog bomb as well, which clears the fog. And that is kind of helpful because if you're deep in a cave somewhere, as you can see, the fog's pretty oppressive. So you can't really see too much of where you're going. You can see like glimpses through it. So the fog bomb will be very, very handy. But yeah, so for the moment, we need to work on this thing down the bottom here is absolutely useless. As you can see, like it doesn't even highlight properly when I click on it. It's just a little random bar. So I need to, firstly, I need to make it show what resources you need to mine. So as you can see, when I use it each time, the space rock gets used up. So that clearly is the one that needs to be mined to use this. And I don't think there's any on this asteroid actually. So I need to show you though which resource is being mined, and I also need to make it more obvious when you select it that it's selected. So I might work on that first because that should be relatively easy. I've clearly tried to do that at some point, but it doesn't work very well. So in this draw file, so this is where we're displaying the item charges. I believe that should be, yes, on the asteroid screen. Good. So if it's the active item, I'm trying to draw a stroke around it. Should probably make this the secondary color. And it should basically be, oh, because yeah, if you've got multiple items, then you can select. At the moment, I've only got one that is unlocked, so there's only one showing up. So I need to make sure that I'm hovering, like I'm showing the actual current item as the selected one. And I think probably there's some padding issues going on because, as you saw, I'm just flying through this screen. I've done it so many thousands of times that I just never give it a second thought. Okay. So yeah, that's a bit better. So you can actually see it changes color now to show that that one is selected. But as you can see, there's a bit of extra padding in here for some reason. And I think that'll be a relic of the fact that I've added in some extra padding for when there's multiple items. So if I might actually just unlock a second item as well so that we can see what it looks like with multiple items unlocked, and we can make sure that it works for both cases. So when you're actually playing the game, you'll have to give a bit more consideration to what you're choosing on all those screens, but I am not. Okay, so that, I think there's maybe some missing padding down the bottom. I'll have a look at what the code is saying, because the code never lies. It's your brain that screws you up. So the line height is texture size plus margin. So there's only one margin built into the text to the line height, and then yeah, there's an extra margin being added in. So I wonder maybe if I don't add in the extra margin, but I just make each thing have two margins, like a top and a bottom margin. Yeah, I might do that. So if I do that and that, should maybe fix it. Line height. So if it's inside that should be good. And then so then when we're displaying the sprite, yeah, I think that should do it. So I'll give that a whirl. See how that goes. All right. Again, not giving any thought to what I'm actually choosing on, because for this it doesn't matter. And it's an asteroid. And so I think that's better. I might make it so that it's a bit more obvious as well. Like I might, maybe if I thicken the selected border. So I go, what's the stroke weight currently? I'll put it as, I don't know, 4. This is all very semi-temporary. Well, not temporary, but experimental, shall we say. Again, cruising through the menus. I think I've got that like pattern just completely down. It's just muscle memory. Okay, that might be a bit too thick, but I think it makes it a lot more obvious what's selected. Or maybe it should be maybe the background behind it should also... Whoa, okay, that's way too strong. This is the fog bomb that I was talking about earlier. As you can see, it's completely overpowered. It cleared so much. Hang on. So then, if we chuck that down there... Yeah, okay, that's... Because that's the level 1 bomb is doing that. So that is too much. Radio. Okay, but that's a focus for a different time. Yeah, I think the background color probably needs to change for the one you selected, and maybe not necessarily the stroke weight of the line. Okay, I'll do that. So remove that. Oh. And if we're going to do that, I think we need to move that up here. And we can do, instead of no fill, we can do I think we want the mid-ground one. I've got this theme thing that has a few colors defined. I always forget which color is which. I try to be consistent, but I forget all the time. All right, cruise through the menu, get my RSI for that metin pattern, and then should see, hopefully. Yeah, I think that's better. Much more obvious which one's selected, having that background color. And also, I guess, eventually the not ready thing will actually say that it's ready, so it'll also be much more obvious which one you can select, or at least which one is able to be used. I will maybe do, I think that'll be super quick to fix that is completely overpowered. I mean, this starter bomb is pretty overpowered as well, although we're on the asteroid with the weakest materials, so maybe it's not overpowered. Okay, so need to... I'll quickly tweak that, because for some reason it's just irking me how overpowered that is. Where's the fog bomb? Strength 10. See, the problem is all these... I'll need to balance all these completely, because each of these bombs, their strength parameter is, or in the air bomb's case, the number parameter, they're doing different things. So they need to be all balanced properly. I might just also quickly look at how it looks with just a single item again, because we were checking it with multiple items, and that looks okay. But then if we do it with just a single one again, let's have a look at how that looks. All right. Yeah, I mean that does the trick. Maybe it needs like a little check mark or something. I don't know. If anyone's watching, you can tell me what you think. And then let's check the strength of that, because it should hopefully be... I mean, that's more reasonable, but it's still pretty overpowered for the first level of the fog bomb. But we can tweak that later. It's less egregious now. So, I think the next thing to do is probably work on this not ready thing. And actually, you know what? I think each item needs a description, and I need to make like a tooltip for each item. So I think there are a few stats that it needs to display. So like the strength obviously being one of them. And the strength, and then obviously which resource it requires. And then on this view, it should probably show like a little progress bar of how ready it is or not. Yeah, so I will do that now. So I think I've actually got... I shouldn't have shut it. I need to not get in the habit of shutting the window every time so that I can point to things, because otherwise I got to go through all this all over again. I should probably make it so that when I'm testing things, it can just go straight to the asteroid and I don't have to muck about with all of that. Anyway, I was going to show the, if I just use my overpowered drill bit, do a bit of that, and get out of here. Because I was going to show the power meter that I've already got sort of installed, not installed. I've got the power meter that I can use, hopefully, to... So I might be able to reuse this sort of power meter thing here that also shows up on the asteroid, and use that to show how much of the required resources you've mined. So this bar here could also show up down here next to each item to show you how close to being ready to go you are. So I'll give that a shot. That should be able to be done in that same draw function. So this is where we're displaying that little pop-up, this one here. And so I should be able to use that to display how ready we are. But in order to do that, I will need to know how ready we are. So each item... See, and the thing is, the costs... The way I've got it set up at the moment is that it expects an individual resource or... Well, sorry. It expects any number of individual resources to be required to be mined. So, for example, it could take 50 gold and 100 rock to be able to use this item. But I'm not sure if that's the way to go, where it requires a specific item, or if it should be more based on like the category of item. So it should be like, gems. It requires 50 gems and 100 powders to be able to use the thing. Because there's multiple different categories of resource. And I think that's probably a fairer way of doing it. Because in the asteroid belt, if I go back to the asteroid belt, in here, as you can see, there's only limited resources per asteroid, and as you progress through the game, the easier resources will disappear, and the harder ones will be on the asteroid to make it more difficult as the game progresses. And so, essentially, what could happen is that an item becomes useless because you can't actually get the resources required to mine it up. So I think I will probably in the future change it to be the material type. And I think, what did I call it? Resource. I can spell resource type. So yeah, I've got these different categories of resource. And so maybe it needs to be based on them instead of on the actual individual items. So, but I think I'll do that at a later stage. For the moment, what we need to do is make it show how close to being ready an individual thing is. And I think to make it a lot easier, I'm going to change which resource this requires. I've just got this using the resource ID at the moment, and there's a nice way of doing it, but I'm being hacky about it because I'm going to change it in the future. So, and I think that number one, let me just double check this. Yeah, space dust. So that should be like the most common resource. So we should be able to actually see the bar going up when we test this out. So, all right, what we need to do now is... So on the item, we've got a thing... We've already got a function that checks if we can use it or not. I can actually put that back because I'm hacking the can use thing already to always... No, I'm not. Just going to return true. So, actually, there's a better way of doing that. Probably a nicer way of doing it. But this logic here, what this goes and does is it checks all the resources that you've mined and makes sure that the resources that it requires are actually in your inventory to be able to use it. So I think we can use a very similar thing to know basically the percentage of how ready the item is to be used. So I might, and then in fact, this can use function, we can just check if we're at 100% or more than 100%. So I guess it would be a public float. Naming things is hard. I don't know what to name it. Maybe like readiness percentage. That seems like I don't know about that. That seems dodgy, but I don't know. We'll go with it for the moment. Readiness percentage. So it'll all be integer based, but then we want it to be in a float at the end. But anyway, so we need the number of resources, and then we also need the required number of resources, which will equal 0, and then we can simply yoink this, and eventually, I think, like I was saying, we'll remove that from inside there. But so we yoink that, so we got the number of mined, so then we can go, actually we can just num resources plus equals that, and then num required plus equals the actual cost, how many we need. And then at the end, I may as well make these floats so that we don't have to do a conversion. So then we can just return the number of resources divided by the number of required ones. And so then that readiness percentage we should be able to use to fill up a bar. So we've got a bit of an idea of what is going on. So in here, I think I can go display power meter. I think that's the one that I want. Yeah. We might run into an issue because this is geared up to display the actual power of the circuit board in your drill. And the way it works is that 1 is actually at 50%. And then, yeah, I'm going to have to... Although, I think it... there's just a display meter. Okay, so I can make a display meter. Yeah, okay. No, this is all good. This is all good. Why is that saying I've changed something? What have I changed? I don't think I've changed anything. So, okay, we need to make a new... I may as well just copy that. So, it's not a power meter. This is a... I'm going to do it. A readiness meter. Ugh, don't like it. Export. So, this will be a percentage that we're passing in. And... So buffer's buffer amount. So I think for the amount we can just pass in the percentage, and again we'll do the percentage times 100, and that should we don't want it to be times, and then percent to F, and then percent. I think percent is the escape character for... Yeah, well, I think that's right. I'll need to maybe double check that. And so that should, I think, in theory, show one of those meters for how ready we are. I don't like this readiness percentage nonsense, but it is what it is. So instead of display power meter, we want to display a readiness meter, and we want to use the item's readiness percentage. But actually, it takes a lot more than that, doesn't it? Okay, Xpos, YPOS, alignment. Okay. So on that graphics object, and I'll just pop it in the exact same position. as the text for the moment. Obviously, that's going to need to change. And then the, I think we want game dot left and game dot. Oh, I was holding down shift. Game dot left, game dot top, and so that should be the alignment for the meter. I'm expecting this to look totally garbage, but just trying to figure out if this will even work. So go through this rigmarole again. Choose an asteroid. Do that. Yeah. Oh. I need to figure out the whole full screen thing to actually make it nicely full screen. Okay, 0%. Oh, I think that's actually working because I think I just completely miscalibrated. So it requires 100 of that powder, and I've got 475. So it shouldn't be at 400. That should be. Oh yeah, no, that's right. That's right, isn't it? Zan, I don't know how to say your name. Zan, Dr. Zan. Sorry. What's up? I see you. I hear you. All right. So that should. Wow, that really. You can charge it up quickly. So if I shoot that, it should eat up. Oh, it didn't eat up any resources. Why did it not? No, it did. It did. Yes. Okay, it does. It does actually chew them up. Okay, so it's kind of working. It's kind of. Sorry, I need to keep a much better eye on the chat. I'm not very good at. I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'll try and keep a better eye on how that's going. Sorry, keep missing people. Bum. So okay, so I think that will work. I think probably, though, this needs to be more like 1,000. So we'll do that. And I keep closing the window. That's so dumb. Anyway, draw. So this needs to be a bit lower down, I think. Line height plus margin. So if I make this top, okay, plus texture size on 2, and it doesn't like it because I'm doing int division in a float, but that's okay. No one needs to know. All right, so when we open this up, go to an asteroid, select it up, and then go here. Okay, it's still not in the right position, but hopefully it should at least be a bit slower. Okay, 23. I think that's all working. And so because I've hacked in that I can still use it, haven't I? Yeah. Okay, so it goes into the negative. But then once it's ready, we can use it. How does asteroid deformation work? So using a Quadtree would be smart, I think. Although I did do some testing with a Quadtree. It's much better for the collision detection. So the collision detection at the moment is kind of janky, and I need to fix that up. But actually what it's doing is it's just creating images. So if I go, I can show you, I think, the images that it creates. So basically, there's this image that gets created of the terrain, and the pixels are actually storing information. Well, that tunnel generation is off. But the pixels are storing information about the tile. So in fact, if I open this up in Paint, I can show you that the RGB and the alpha, I think, all store information. So the red is like the resource type. So you can see here that most of this is resource type 1. And so that is this texture here, the what is it? Space dust. And then the alpha and, the green, blue, and alpha all store then the health of each pixel. And so then when I damage it, what's happening is I'm generating these. Okay, so the reason they look all janky like this is because I'm packing the damage information in across the float. So, sorry, I'm doing a very bad job of explaining this. But basically, in an image, the RGB and A channels are all a single byte. So you've got 8 bits between them. So, but in total, you've got 4 bytes, which equals a single float. And so you can pack the information of a float into an image, which is why this looks so weird. Because basically, the attack is weakest out at the edge here, and it gets stronger and stronger towards the middle. And so then when I damage the terrain, essentially what I'm doing is I've got a shader here, which will essentially look at the... There's a... That's the block. So then there's this damage texture, which is the one doing the damage to the terrain. And so it can get from that the strength of the attack. So this here is the unpacking and packing of that float into the different color channels. And so it can get the strength of the attack from that damage texture and then essentially damage the terrain. And so, yeah, instead of using Quadtrees or anything, it's just using an image of the terrain data and modifying the pixel colors to be able to do that. And that's how we can damage the terrain. And it's, yeah, on a per pixel level, because each pixel is essentially just a big tile map where each tile is a single pixel. And that's how it's doing it. I'm not sure if it's the best way of doing it, but it's certainly, like, it's pretty fast, as you can see. Like, it works. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just how I came up with doing it. I did explore doing Quadtree stuff. I think I've got, actually, I'll get it up on a different screen and then whip it across. Where am I going? I did try doing some Quadtree based stuff. I think it would be better because, like I said, the collision detection is kind of weird because you're doing it with pixels, but the actual damaging of the terrain is simple as this way. So I think there's a bit of a trade-off with how you do it. I'll just see. I think I've got... Yeah, okay, so... Now, this is made in P5.js, so it's not very, very fast, and I've got to remember all the controls as well. What does this do? Okay, so this shows you the Quadtree stuff, and so, as you can see, yeah, it really slows down, but I think that's because I'm trying to draw the debug stuff. Okay, so, and I think I can do, no, add and subtract, and then, oh yeah, so I can draw circles as well. But yeah, so you can do this stuff with Quadtrees, and it makes, yeah, collision detection a lot easier, but I think updating the Quadtree is actually kind of slow, and I think my game doesn't really rely a lot on really snappy collision detection. I am going to fix it up a bit because it is, if you get in like a little tight space, it can be a bit weird, and I think you can actually get stuck. But this game doesn't really rely on the collision detection so much. It's much more about the destruction of the terrain, and I found with the Quadtree that was a bit slower than the images are like quick as you can see. It's working completely fine. So I've figured that the bit of a trade-off between collision detection versus being able to destroy it really easily, and this is just what I landed on. If I was doing it again, I'm not 100% sure that I would do it the same way, but yeah, it is what it is, and at this point it's far too late to change it, I think, probably. But anyway, I think, sorry, that was a completely tangential side topic. Great question, though. Very good question, and it's something I've been meaning to probably do a more in-depth thing on at some point anyway. All right, so I think with this percentage thing, I'm not convinced about doing a decimal point. So I might turn it into an int before I display it. Let's see. So in the readiness meter, I think we just want that, and then we can turn this into an int. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, do I need to? I always forget. It's like doing things in JavaScript and in Java and in Go and trying to remember all the different languages. So let's have a look. And also, I needed to move it down too, didn't I? See, this is the problem with, yet another problem with rolling your own, is that there's no, visual UI scripting stuff. Like, you got to just start and stop all the time. Okay, so yeah, I think that's a lot cleaner, even if I'm still going way too hard at this. I have got an overpowered drill bit though, so I need to keep that in mind. So I'm not doing balancing stuff now. This is purely visual UI stuff. All right. So I think that kind of works. The problem is if you've got multiple... Let me try having multiple resources as well. So if I also require number 2, which is space sand. The names of these resources, I'm not sure about them. Anyway, let's get in there. Okay. So we go onto the asteroid. Okay, so we need to... Maybe I need to cap it, because what's happening at the moment is, even though I require 2 different resources, I'm just summing them all up in here. So what, essentially, I need 1,000 of the space sand and 1,000... actually, no, that's... Oh, hang on. That's the fog bomb, and I did that on the terrain bomb. All right. Let me just switch them over. So it was showing it correctly, but I think we'll still run into an issue, because what will happen, I believe, is because I'm just doing these... I'm just doing these in total rather than individually figuring out if each resource, there's enough of each resource. So I think what will happen is I'll still be able to, once I've mined 2,000 of the thing, it'll still say that I'm at 100%. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so new plan. I'm going to have to figure out the percentage of each one and add that up. Total percentage. This is actually probably even easier. So total percentage plus equals the number of resources. You know what? I'm going to keep these for readability. And that just equals that. And then total percentage plus equals resources divided by num required again. But then what we can do is at the end, we divide the total percentage by the number of things in our list of costs. So that should give us, but this will still be, I think we want to constrain this to be, actually, I think we can just, and that should actually be the min. So we want to cap this out so that each individual resource that you need to mine can only contribute a maximum of 1 to the total percentage, and then that gets divided by how many different resources need to be mined for this item. And that should mean that now, if I'm only... Sorry, I bumped the mic. If I am only mining a single resource, it should cap out, in this case, at 50%. So I think, yeah, space sand is the second one, so we can double check that. Oh, don't need to do that. Yeah, we should be able to double check that if I mine the second type of resource, we also get the thing to go up the next 50%. So if I mine this, so it caps out at 50%. That's good. So even though we've got more than enough of the space dust, we don't have any space sand, which should make up the second 20%. So, but if I go down a bit deeper, we should see if I mine that. No. Why did that not go up? I was expecting that to go up to 100%. Did I put in the wrong resource? Resource manager, that should have done it. So if I go into here, if I go into here and I do a breakpoint here, and we should be able to see what is going on. So 1,279 is, yeah. And I require 1,000, so that should... Oh, yeah, okay. Super obvious. I'm sure you're all screaming at your screens. All right. So I'm adding it in, and then I'm capping out the total percentage at 1. So I actually need to put this around this. That was silly. And then that's getting added into the total percentage. Yeah, okay. Hopefully that should do it now. So we should see that if we mine the second resource, it should go up to 100%, which should then make it ready. And then I can... maybe when I'm hovering over it... So like if you're just... Oh. If I drop... So yeah, if you're just looking at it like this, obviously the not ready text and the bar need to be recalibrated. But if I'm hovering over it, there should be a tooltip, I think, that shows more information about the actual item, but also which resources, and then each resource can have its own individual meter. So I'll probably have to redo my function. Anyway, let's see if this works. So I should be able to cap out at 50%. What goes to 51? Ooh, is that a rounding error? Oh no, I've got a bit of space sand. Okay, hopefully that's all good. And so then if I mine more space dust, it shouldn't go up. But then if I mine the space sand, we should be ready. And then it caps out at 100%. And then I should be able to use it. And I've got enough to be able to use another one. And again. I think the bomb's so overpowered that it's just getting me heaps of... Just going to spam these. So I should eventually, after this one, run out of space dust, and you can see it's at 53%. Cool. Okay, so I think... and I need to actually fix up the hack where I was letting myself use it even without... without having enough resources. So I need to get rid of that. And yeah, then maybe it's time to work on that tooltip. Although I should get rid of the not ready text and make it say ready when it's ready. So I will do that. Let's give that a go. So firstly, can use... So this can use is now just return readiness percentage is greater than or equal to 1. I think that's all that needs to be. Do I have a full-time programming job? I've recently finagled a bit of extra time to be able to do this. But yes, essentially, yes, I do have a full-time programming job. So I went to uni for software engineering, and basically after I finished that, I was working first at a place that did library management software, and that's like book libraries, not programming libraries. And that was all in Java. And also my university was like just so in love with Java for whatever reason. And so that's part of the reason why this is in Java. Please don't hate me. And then my next job was at a startup doing, it was basically like a game engine, but for applications like web apps. So it was essentially you could throw together web apps really quickly. And that was all using Go and JavaScript and a much more modern tech stack, which was nice. But yes, I do have a full-time programming job. Well, it's not full-time anymore because I'm doing this a bit more now, which is nice. Okay, so sorry, I'm bad at bad at multitasking. I need to get back in the groove. So what we're doing is can use is now looking at the readiness percentage. And then when we're drawing that tooltip down here, should be able to, I'm going to pull this value out. So readiness is that, and then I can pass that in there, readiness, and then I can also say if readiness is greater than or equal to 1, then we're ready, and then otherwise I can say we are not ready. And so I might say string label equals not ready. I mean, this not ready thing is a bit, I think the phrasing needs to obviously be changed. And actually, if I'm defaulting it, I can get rid of that. So if readiness is greater than or equal to 1, obviously it means we are ready. So the label can equal ready. And then we can also say dot fill. Actually, I think I got a function that does green or red based on something down here. What's it called? I think it's like the money text color. Yeah, some nice hard-coded color values. That's how you keep consistent. What about can use? I can do that. The thing is, I mean, this is like a micro efficiency, and you know what they say about premature optimization. So can use will just call this readiness, like it's basically doing what I'm doing already. And this, if I'm basically, when I'm extracting, sorry, where was I? Back here. By calling this function just once here, I'm basically caching that value. And so then I don't need to run through this for loop multiple times. I mean, I'm sure it would make basically no difference because I don't think there's ever going to be really more than like 2 or 3 things in the costs. So it'll be a really quick for loop to just run through multiple times. And so maybe it will be more readable in the code. But in terms of efficiency, I mean, it's like, I'm sure it's negligible how much efficiency you're actually gaining by doing this. But in my mind, it's like by doing this calculation just once, I don't have to keep calling it by doing the whole can use thing because that's doing this under the hood anyway. But in the instances where I'm only interested if it is ready or not, then I can just do that. But since I'm already getting this value to be able to display that meter, I've got 2 definitions of it. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I suppose that is true. Yeah, okay. I think maybe you're right. I think you're right. That would lead to bugs in the future. So if I like where your head is at. So item can use. And then we can do money text color, which is a bit cheeky because it's not actually money, as you know. And then I can pass in something that's greater than 1. And that should set the color for me to the nice green positive color. And then I can say that the label is ready and that this can use the label. And I'll need to move that up to here so that it doesn't overwrite my money text color. Okay, so that should do it. The only thing was that that text was completely too big and in the wrong spot. And also that this meter needs to be moved down a bit. Maybe if I do like plus theme dot margin there. And then the text, where's the last font size here? So I might make this smaller. And we'll see what that looks like. So yeah, now using the proper item.can use. Oh, did not mean to do that. Hopefully that doesn't screw up the compilation. Yeah, item.can use to know and update the actual display to show if that item is ready to be used or not. Oh, there we go. Not ready. Cool. Okay. And it's in a better spot. Although there's a lot of real estate on the right, so I should probably reduce that a bit. So I need some space sand now. Hopefully, don't tell me there's none. I didn't even check to see if that was going to be the case. Okay, this is what you get for like blasting through this menu. So we need this one. So this asteroid's got space dust and space sand. Space sand. Gee, it's hard to say that quickly. Yeah. So last time I accidentally chose one that didn't have any space sand, so I couldn't test it out. All right, so now up to 50%, that's good. And then if we get space sand, it goes all the way up and it's now ready. Cool. And then if I use it, problem with using it is it gets me more items which make it ready again, so I can't test. Actually, I should have 2 anyway, shouldn't I? Yes. Okay, throw that over there. And now it's not ready anymore. Cool. All right, that's good. That's good. I think the next thing to do will be getting the tooltip to work. And there's multiple points where I'll need the tooltip. But I think there might need to be two different tooltips because one of them will show how many you've mined, and that'll be on this screen. And the other one will be when you're unlocking things, it'll need to be... I think it'll need to be a different tooltip. So I'll work on this one first because we're already in this area. And actually, I should make it not take up so much space. And I think that's just because this text width is the wrong one. And it's actually really good that not ready and this power meter are like the exact same length. So that's good. That's really good. Okay, so tooltip. I think I already returned the hover item. Good. So in here, this is where I usually show this is where I show like hover stuff. So I think we've already got, I've already got the hover item being saved and then selected item. Why is that never being set? I think probably when I'm mouse released. No. Oh, that's mouse pressed and then mouse released. Okay, yeah, I just select the item directly. So I can get rid of selected item. But the hover item is good. That means that we can, in here, if hover item, we can say draw dot. What's my naming convention for tooltips? Okay, so it'll just be item tooltip, and then I will pass in the hover item. That's a very JavaScript thing of me to do. If hover item does not equal null. Okay, so item tooltip. Let's go back into here and I will find where I do the other tooltips. and try and remember what the how this all works, because it's been a little while since I've made a tooltip. Okay, so I need to pass in probably the UI graphics object. Very good. Okay, so public static void item tooltip. Oh, what did I do? And actually, I am just going to copy. Ooh, not that much. That much. Copy that. Cool, cool, cool. And this will be an item. Okay. Oh, so I've already got a null check in here, but it's probably best to check in both places. All right, theme. I don't think I need to worry about that. Or maybe I do. Where is this theme being used? Because, so each of these parts, don't worry. I don't think I need this, because I'm adapting this from the part tooltips. If it's an instance of a drill bit, do that. We don't need to do that. Name equals item name. Is that just a, it's just public. The whole public private thing, like, I get why it's needed, but when you're working on something by yourself, it's kind of, I always just change what I'm doing, which is silly of me, but I can't help it. So this should be theme.background, I think. So the name is good. The text. Okay, so this is, I think this is where we'll need to add in. Do I have a description? No. Okay. Public final string description. And that. Description, and then this dot description equals description. Cool, good. That will mean that I will need to add descriptions to all of these, so I'll just add some in quickly so that it doesn't whinge when I try and run this. And in fact, I probably should put something in. Blows up the terrain. Clears fog. Obviously, these will be niceified in the future to be something that actually makes sense. All right, gives a bunch of air. Yeah, those will be fleshed out a lot in the future. This is just to get something on the screen. All right. So what did I call that description? And it's public as well. This should probably be a wrapped text object. Oh no, okay. I already do that. So in here we want the description. H5 size, that's good. Don't need to do that. Yes. So I can probably, because I don't need to do that thing, I can do this. So this will give me the width of the, I've got a whole bunch of like helper functions. You probably already figured this out. In this draw file, there's a whole bunch of helper functions that will help me draw things, and they sort of rely on a bunch of different parameters. So this is all just getting the basic structure of this tooltip thing set up, and so the width will need to be whatever's biggest out of the description and the title. And then we can create a mouse panel with the title, and so this is, like I say, one of these helper functions, and this is why we need to figure out these different things. And so this should basically already be done. Although I need to, so this description here is only the actual description of the item, whereas we need to put in the costs as well. So I might actually make a function that gets the description, which puts in the like it combines the description and the costs. And then I will probably I should put in the actual icon of each item. I'll get to that in a minute. That can be gone as well, I think. So if we just try this, so where's this being used? Yes, that's good. So if we try this, we should see, hopefully, that when we hover over the little icon in the bottom right corner, we should see that we are getting a tooltip. Why did that? Need to fix that bug where it doesn't select the asteroid on the first go. It's a bit of a bad one. Anyway, so we should see that we don't get anything. Why are we not getting that? Hover item. Where is hover item being reset? Hover item equals display item charges. Hover item equals item return hover item. That should be setting the hover item. And if it's not null, so clearly the hover item can't be null because I am actually selecting it, which uses the hover item. But that uses the hover item down here. Okay, so why is that? Sorry if you just heard a Discord notification, by the way. I just baited you all. Maybe I should close Discord. Not sure. Okay, so sorry. Let me get back on track here. For some reason, this is not displaying how I... Oh, do you know what it'll be? I'm displaying... yeah, okay. I'm displaying this on this UI graphics object, and then later on down here, I'm clearing it. So that's silly. Oh, hang on. No, because we're not... Oh, I think it'll just be that I need to actually... Yeah, okay. I think I know what it is. Yes, I just need to UI.begin draw and UI.end draw. And I think that should be it. So basically, it's trying to draw to a graphics object that wasn't ready to be drawn to. All right, let's have a look. Spam through this again. I really need to make a faster way of when I'm debugging, just getting straight to the thing. All right. It's something. It shows the name at least, but it's not showing the description text. So why is it not doing that? Let's try and figure it out. So on the tooltip again, we've got the text. So I am drawing the text. And I'm setting the font size. I think it will just be a case of I'm drawing the text at the same color as the background. So I need to set it as the foreground color, and then hopefully that should be it. I think that should be it. Let's have a look. Oh. Whoa. No idea what was going on there. Okay, let's get in there. Yes, that's got both. Okay, good. We zoom off to the asteroid. All right, so let's draw. Then, aha, we've got text. All right, that's good. That's good. So now we need to make it show the different resources on here. So I'll need to figure out how tall how tall the tooltip needs to be, and that should be as simple as doing a tiny little bit of math. So what I'm doing at the moment, this mouse panel is as tall as the description text. So I will need to add in. I'll need to calculate the total height basically, and then I'll have to draw in each of the bits for that. So in order to do that, we need to figure out how many different resources are required for the item to be used. So that should be in item.costs, which is private, is it? Yes. Okay. I'll put in a getter. Public pair of integers. And it's an array. Get costs, return costs. Very good. Okay, so I should be able to use this. This is a bit of a this is why people meme on Java, isn't it? Because everything's so verbose. Pair of integer array costs equals item get costs, and so then we also need to figure out how tall each row of this should be. So int, call it line height again, equals, and I think it basically just needs to be this tall. And how tall is that, you ask? That's a very good question, but I should be able to figure that out. So on the, I think that's in the inventory. This was back when I was, this is very old code where I was drawing things as well inside. Like this inventory class also handles the displaying of itself, which I don't really like anymore, but that's what I did back in the day. So we'll ignore that for now though. How tall are these things? Why do I use a pair instead of a class or another more explicit structure? What? Well, I mean, it is literally all I need is like, I mean, I could use a map, I suppose, but I don't. I just need it to be able to tell how many of each resource I need. Maybe I could use the actual resource instead of an integer to make it more readable and friendly. But basically, I've just got this pair class, which is a bit of a utility class that I use to just be able to package up. It's basically, think of it like a tuple. I don't know how you say that word, but in Python and other languages, you've just got tuples where you can basically just package up two bits of information together. And if you're aware of what's going on, and like Java makes sure you're aware of what's going on, I think the confusion here is that it's two integers, and this first one being the ID of the resource and the second one being the cost. So maybe if I change that to a resource, it would be more apparent. But again, this is a project that I'm working on by myself. So that as long as I know what's going on, it kind of works. I do take your point though. It's not the most obvious thing what's going on, because these could easily be confused one way or another. So maybe the correct thing here to do would be to make that a resource thing. I don't think I need a whole nother class just for essentially just holding an ID and a number of resources like that. I think that's exactly why Java gets memed on. But yeah, maybe it should be the actual resource. But for the moment, I've got it as the integers. So where was I? Here, line height. So we should be able to figure out the height of these. So where was I? The asteroid screen. I think they're just the texture size. No, I was in the inventory, wasn't I? Yes. No, that's displaying the currency. Where's the actual icon? Oh no, this is this what I'm thinking? Am I in the right place? I don't know. Dot icon. So it's just drawing it at the size of the icon, but it doesn't actually specify what that is. I can look it up actually. In here, assets, textures, resources. Good. So how big are you? 32 by 32. And what is... Yeah, okay, cool. So it is just the texture size. Draw. All right, line height is probably the same as the line height that we had before, which is game.texture size plus theme.margin, and 2 of them. So this should give a bit of padding on... Actually, I think in this case, we can get away with just 1 margin, which means I don't need to do that. Cool, so then the total height will be this text height, int height equals text dot... Oop, doing this too early. Pop that up there. And I might pop you down here. I'll call you H for consistency. All right, so text.height plus costs.length times line height. And that should give us the total height that we need for the internals of our tooltip. And then after we draw our text, we should be able to... So we need a pair of integers in our costs array. Actually, I'm going to have to do this the old-fashioned way because I need the index. So int I equals 0, I is less than costs.length, I plus plus. And so, yeah, we need this I index to be able to know which row we're drawing so that we can figure out the position correctly. And then, so we can do g.image. Well, actually, we need to get the actual resource first. Maybe it does. Okay. I'm going to do it. Nick Tong, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make this pair not a pair of integers. I'm going to make it a pair of a resource and an integer. I think you're right. I think it makes more sense. And it's much more readable. So cost.a, although oh, that was the wrong one. Gotta keep my eye on the ball. I think the thing is, most of the places that I'm doing stuff, I'm just using the ID mostly, but I guess not always, and it has it on it. So this needs to be resource as well. That should be costs.a dot. Oh, costs I dot a dot icon. Alright, I'll come back to that because this will be having not a fit because these. Oh yeah, there was something I don't know if Oh, you okay? Okay, you're See, this is the problem with Discord and YouTube having them two separately because I don't know who is who when I see a username on YouTube. Cool. Yeah, I like your thinking about these. I think you're I think you're probably a much better programmer than me because you're doing a lot more a lot more properly. I think I'm at a point with this project where I'm sort of doing things slightly hacky just to get things done. And again, I think because it's just me working on this, I can kind of justify to myself not making it the cleanest code in the world just because I know what's going on. But no, I do take your point. I think your suggestions have actually been very good. But yeah, I don't think I need an actual class for these pairs. But what I was going to say, actually, just here, when I try and type this here, because you see how it's having a whinge about, it's casting it's like, assuming the types. And so right now it's not whinging because it doesn't know what type of pair it should be. But if I try and do this, it gives me an error, especially, and I think I even tried doing like this. So if anyone knows what is, maybe it doesn't. Manager dot get resource space dust. Okay, so maybe it doesn't have a winch. Maybe I was making that up. Oh, so now that I've actually put it in entirely, it for some reason doesn't like it when I type this, but then when I don't type it, it also doesn't like it. Generic array creation. Like, what does that mean? That could mean anything. So can you just not make an array when you've got generics? Or you can, but you just can't type it? Anyway. And so yeah, then it reckons these are redundant. So I just ended up getting rid of them all. But then it doesn't catch your errors, which is the danger. But so yeah, if you know how to type these arrays, that would be wonderful. But I have no idea how to do it. So for the moment, it will be like this. Okay, so it now uses the resource. Good. So I can put in that icon, and I can put it in at pos.x, probably plus theme dot. Oh no, this has already got a margin built in. And then pos.y plus theme.margin plus line height times I. And that's why we needed to do the old-fashioned for loop. So that should put in that bit of imagery. So actually, I may as well just run this to make sure that we're on the right track. So this should put in the icon in. We'll see, and we'll see if we get any errors for that change I just did, where I made the resource type into an integer instead. Sorry, made it into a resource type from an integer. Okay, cool. It's a bit dodgy, but it is kind of working. So the images are in. Clearly, there's some weird stuff going on with the margins. Oh yes. So how have we aligned this text? Text align left and top. So that means, so pos y is the top of the text, so I'll need to add in the height of the, and in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go pos.y plus equals theme.margin plus theme.h5 size. And that should account for the height of the text as well as for the margin. So if I do that, I think I can get rid of this margin because I've just built it in. And then we should be able to do that. And so I will also now put in the actual text, which is the name of the resource as well as how many we need to mine in order to use it. So g dot. Oh, actually no. On this one, we're going to do the power meter again, weren't we? So very similar to this power meter, I was going to make it actually, I can basically just copy what I've done here. So the not ready text will actually just be the name of the resource, and then the power meter will show the percentage for that individual resource, I think is what I'll do. So let's give that a shot. So how will I do this? How indeed? I need to put in text, which will be costs I.A. Yeah, okay. I do see what you mean about the pair thing, but I think I'm gonna keep it because yeah, it is a bit weird doing costs.A is the resource and costs.B is the number, but I know what's going on with the pairs, so I'm going to keep it that way. So we've got the text for the name, and we need to put it in actually at a very similar point to what we were doing here when we're showing the actual this thing here. And in fact, because I've called the same thing line height, it should be very straightforward. You know what? I'm just going to yoink all of this. And I'm going to go down here and paste it in, and we're just going to see what happens. Okay. Get rid of that. Pos.x plus theme.marg2. Yep. Okay, so the text for the resource will be pushed over by the size of that image. And that's good. And then the Y is down one. Yep, I think that makes sense. Down one being one margin. And then the meter, instead of showing... okay, so we're going to have to... The item readiness percentage... You should make a GUI builder. You pass it a list of rows where each row is another list of items you can draw. Text, images, text. Yeah, I think I've kind of got things that help me do that. So I've got like these things. Oh, I don't want to drag that. Whoops. So yeah, I've got these sort of like spaced grids and spaced columns and rows, which kind of do that. What they do is they figure out the positions for things in a row or a column or in a grid. And I do use them especially in like the menus and stuff. But I think in terms of like a general purpose thing, I have thought about that, and I've also thought about doing some different text rendering stuff because I've got no way of making things multicolored text. So if I want a word in a sentence to be a certain color, I've got no way of doing that. But I think it may be more trouble than it's worth. Maybe it's not, but maybe it is. Because I think my thinking is after this game, I'm going to just use an engine and not try and make it all from scratch for myself. If I was going to continue using this framework going forward, I probably would do that because I think in the long run it would save me a lot of time. But in terms of finishing this game, I think it's probably not worth it because I'm not going to be using this past this project, I think. Like, I'm sure it would save me time if I had it, but I just wonder if the time required to actually build it, because I think realistically I'd want it sort of recursive almost, so that I could have a row within a column inside a render letter by letter for multicolored text. Yeah, I mean, I would basically have to do that, and I don't think it's worth it. That's why I haven't done it. There's the occasional spot where I will, like with this money stuff, I do it occasionally. If I leave here, you see here, I do this, but that's because I know, this corporate fee is -0. I think I ran into that issue in the last devlog, and I swear I fixed it, but apparently not. But yeah, in the case of this, I am doing like, I know that the colored bit is always at the end, so I'm actually passing in two separate strings and just figuring out how wide the first bit is and offsetting the second bit of text that's colored. But if it's in like the middle of a sentence, you got to do some funky stuff, or just be using an engine that does it already for you. So yeah. And the other thing is like I'd either need to make a parser for some accepted standard of how to color text, like, I don't know, is it like BB code or something like that? Or like HTML or something where I can style it just in the string itself. Or I would need to come up with my own format, which is I don't think that would be nonsensical. But yeah, basically, I think it's just not worth it at the moment. Oh, this is another thing. Maybe I'll do this on another stream. I need to fix this stats screen so that you can actually look at your stats nicely. Because at the moment, it's all like jumbled up. So I need to like format it all properly. But yes, where were we? Let's have a look. Actually, did I select an asteroid? No, chose a bad one. Okay, so for the tech... oh yeah, I need to actually rerun this to see if we're getting where we want. This will be... That's right. So we need the individual readiness percentage. So maybe I need to make yet another function. To count the readiness percentages. Don't know why I'm putting this stuff in the drill. Anyway, go here, and then we should. Yeah, if you resize while it's loading the asteroid, it doesn't like it very much. Cool. Okay, that looks kind of good. I think there's something funky up with the spacing, but it kind of looks good. All right. And so if I do that, yeah, so this is the problem, is that I'm showing the total percentage again for each resource. I'm not showing the individual resources percentage, so I'm going to have to count them individually. And now it's ready. Cool. Okay, this is kind of going well. This is kind of going well. I am pleased. Okay. And so if I shoot that, it's no longer ready. Why did that go negative? I'll have to figure that out. If I go up here, I can get some more. So I don't think... if I click on that, shoot that. Okay. Something is going funky with that. Oh, we also... because it goes negative, you can actually get... hang on, if I do it again. Because it goes negative, you can get a negative percentage loaded. Anyway, because we only make it constrain it to 1 as the maximum, but we don't constrain it to 0 as the minimum. Anyway, so focus. We're going to make it count the resources individually so that you can actually see how much of each resource you've got. Good. That is what we need to do. So in the item again, okay, that problem is not a problem. So if you could update IntelliJ, that would be good. Readiness percentage. I think maybe instead of returning a float, it should return an array of floats, or maybe a map of the resource to the percentage. Maybe the pairs should all be maps, like you were saying, Nick, because or you know, I guess you weren't saying that exactly, but using a pair is a bit weird. I think it was because I was thinking I would just be iterating over the list a whole bunch, and so I wanted it as an array. But I mean, with a map, you can just iterate over the keys. But then you're relying on the order of the maps. And I think it's hardwired from using Go because they randomize the order that you get the keys of a map in so that you're not relying on the order of the map keys, which kind of makes sense because that's not necessarily a guaranteed thing, I guess. But I'm just so used to not using maps if I'm going to be iterating a lot, I think. But yes, I think it makes sense to return this as a map of... I'll use the resource to a float. And we'll call this readiness percentages because we're now returning more than one percentage. And then we can say that we need to create a map. So we've got a new map of resources to floats. I'm just typing what I'm saying now. Resource float, and it will be called percentages. And it will be what am I doing? New map of resource to float. And this should be a hash map, I think. Technically here you're also relying on the order. Make a new function that returns the readiness percentage of a single resource / item. Well, what I was going to do here is that I was going to return the map, and then I was going to, when I'm drawing it, I have the resource, and then I can use that to index into this map to get the float percentage. But maybe you're right. And then I can just call that inside the for loop to get the... Yeah, okay. Okay. Damn. You're wrecking me, Nick. You've got all the answers. All right. Okay, so we leave that as a float, and then we get another one. Public float. And this will be resource ready. I really don't like the names of these functions. Resource readiness percentage. And I guess it should take in the pair. And in fact, this could almost be a static. This could almost be static, I think, because I think the inventory is static. I think I can do that. I'm going to see. And then this, I basically just take all of that. No, not all of that. Half of that. Take half of that, pop that in there, and that's called a resource cost here, which is a much better name, in fact, so I might do that. And then we can return the number of resources divided by the number of required, like that, and then total percentage plus equals, and in fact I'm just going to do constrain the resource readiness percentage of the resource cost between 0 and 1. Why does that? Oh, I see why that doesn't like that. Makes total sense why it doesn't like that. Okay. That is good, I think. I think that's good. So then back in the draw, we can, instead of using the items entire readiness percentage, we can do item dot resource. Did I call it resources? That doesn't make sense. I did. I also don't really like that it's static because it feels like it should be, but because I've got an, yeah, I don't know. I think in the tooltip, I will allow it to go over because I think on the tooltip you want as much information as possible, and if it's capped at 100%, you might not necessarily realize that you yeah, you might not necessarily realize that you've got more of one resource than another. So say I've got like enough for a single charge of the space dust, but I've got heaps of space sand and I want to use it multiple times. I'll be able to know, oh, okay, I've already got heaps of space. I can't remember which way around I said it. I've got heaps of space sand, so I need to focus on getting space dust if I want to be able to use it again. And I'm even thinking in the tooltip, it should probably show the actual number rather than a percentage. But the percentage is needed for the actual display of the... Do I need to even make another... Okay, this is a bit tricky. I'll do what I was originally thinking for the moment. Item.resource readiness percentage, and I'll pass in costs I. I'm just going to do this just to make sure that it's working. But we will see about the other stuff. Because I think you're making a valid point that what this is currently going to be doing maybe isn't the most sensical. And in fact, I think a lot of what I do is nonsense. But, so now it should be that if I... Yeah, okay, cool. So if I mine the space dust, we've got heaps, and that's good, but we're capped at 50%, so that's also good. So then if I go and find some space sand, we should see it's now filling up. And we're ready. So I think, yeah, the problem with this, well, there's a few problems actually. The text is really not very readable. But I think also that the, I think it shouldn't be a percentage on the tooltip. It should be the actual number that you require. Maybe in here it shouldn't even be the bar. It should just be the numbers. And then the bar is just on the readiness percentage thing down here. Maybe that should be it. I don't know, the bar's kind of cool though. But the problem with that is that in this display readiness meter thing, unless I allow me to pass the string in, I'm going to avoid the static weirdness. I think I'm just going to do that. And reference the current item with this. I think I'm just gonna leave it. The staticness thing doesn't bother me enough to do anything about it, I think. Okay. But yeah, what do you reckon about having... I think in here it definitely needs to show the actual number. But what do you think about displaying the meter in here versus just showing the numbers? I think the meter is good. It's a very visual way of knowing, but I think the information probably needs to be in here about how much, like how many of the actual resource you need to mine. Yeah, okay. And I think in order to do that, Um, in order to do that, I think I probably need to actually just return the number of resources. But then this should really be inside the inventory. If I just want to get the number of resources mined of a current of a maybe you could do the suspense. dot dot dot. Um maybe I could do what? Tell me. Okay. I'm going to try something out and we'll just current. Oh yeah. Yeah, kinda like that. So yeah, you got the number of times that you can. Yeah, that's kinda cool. I wonder how much space that will take up. Have to finagle it a bit. Probably. But I kinda like that. I do kinda like that. Let's see. Would you reckon keep the bar or not? Like the meter thing that shows you the colors? Or do you reckon just the text? I think the meter is probably good. Because my only concern with the format that you've recommended, which I do kind of like, but it is kind of long. And so if you got a lot of a resource, I guess it could very quickly overblow it. But there's probably some text formatting thing that I can do that would handle that just fine and dandy. Don't know why I keep doing accents. Sorry about that. I'm gonna convert it over so that it can use numbers, and I think the best way to do that is probably, well, I guess if you've got the percentage and the total number you need, you can calculate the thing, but then you probably lose things in floating point error. Bar could be made thinner height-wise. It could work. Sorry, I'm just going to get it up so I can have a look at what you mean. I think there's also, by the way, like a 10-second delay on the stream. So by the time you're seeing me respond to what you've said, I think it's probably like 20 seconds have gone by. So I apologize. I think there's probably a way of making the latency lower. I don't know what I'm doing. This is my first ever stream, so I don't know what I'm doing. So sorry, you mean if the bar could be made thinner height-wise, it could work. I think the bar probably needs to be made longer width-wise. Yeah, abbreviation says. Yeah, I think that's probably what I need to do. That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Yeah, okay. Let me just write that down. Number abbreviation. A little helper function that takes a number and shortens it by using k m b etc. Cool. I like that. Sorry, I've literally like exactly copied what you've written as your comment. That's good. And that would be probably UI. Priority. Sorry, you're seeing my. You don't need to watch me put in a ticket. Anyway. So we got that, and again, we're just doing this bit here, aren't we? UI gameplay. Cool. So yeah, I think the bar height is probably all good. I think it's more the width that's the issue. But if you're doing the abbreviation, it probably also wouldn't matter. Okay, okay. I think we know what we're doing now. We're going to remove the percentages, and I'm going to at least put in the current on the cost, like you've said in your comment, show the actual numbers required and how many you've already got, rather than the percentage. And I'm going to keep the bar, and then at a later date, probably off stream because it's not going to be very exciting, I'm going to figure out the abbreviation thing. And in fact, I think I'll probably have some lunch soon, so I might end the stream in a little bit. I'm getting a bit peckish because it's 12:30 my time. PM, that is, midday. So I'll probably get this little bit of thing working where I've got the actual numbers in there, and then I might call it for today. But this has been quite good. Getting this tooltip up and running and actually being able to select these items properly is good. So I've been saying let's get these numbers in for so long. I just need to figure out how I want to actually do it, because I think probably 7 p.m. for you. Yeah, see, time zones make it so tricky, don't they? Just makes it a nightmare to try and schedule this sort of thing. I think probably what I'll do is I'm not going to have. I'm planning on doing some more streams because this has actually it's been very fun, and I think it'll be a good way to. Because I think filming devlogs, it can be a bit disruptive to the actual process of development, and for sure streaming is not the most. There's also some interference there as well, but it's a lot less than the devlogs, and I think you get a lot more, community involvement, which is really good. But so I'm not sure that I'll have a set time that I'm always doing a stream, so I might move it around a bit so that hopefully different time zones can more easily fit in. I'm not going to do any midnight my time, but this was a morning one for me, but I might do some evening ones or some earlier morning or later in the day. So hopefully everyone with the time zones can have a little bit of a watch at some point. I think when I finish this stream as well, the video should just be available on YouTube. So hopefully people that weren't able to make it live can watch it then. But I'm going to quickly bang this out. I'm not going to eat just yet. I'm sorry that you're sleepy. Stay with me for if you're sleepy, go to bed. But I'll probably only be going for another, 20 minutes or so. I just want to get this last little bit figured out so that I can, put a full stop in what we've been doing today. All right, quickly, let's focus in. I think what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this individual thing, and I'm going to make a nicer way of getting the currently. This time works well for the morning in Hong Kong. Yeah, see, I think there's probably people all around. There's definitely some people in America and stuff. So yeah, I need to. I'm glad it works well for you now. That's great. I think this time works really well for me as well. But yeah, like I said, I'll try moving it around a bit and seeing what happens. And if there's a certain time that works best for everyone, I guess I'll try and do that more frequently. But it'll be whatever it is. Right. I think what I'm going to do is make a nice way of getting the number of resources, and then I can access that from the draw function as well and display that. And then I can get rid of this and use that nice way. Because all that I'm doing here, I've already got this resource cost information when I'm calling this over here. Where is it? Here. I've already got this. And so calling this seems a bit superfluous. That's the word. So yes, I will do that. That's how I'm going to do it, I think. I think I can undo what I just did. Put this back in here. Oh, why did that copy that bit? There we go. Put this back in. And just get rid of that. That is gone. Good. Okay, so then I think we want in the inventory. I might even already have a better way of doing this. I do not. Interesting. So what we want to be able to do is add resource. So I think we just want a public int num resources, int resource ID, and so then we can basically. Oh, hang on, what's this? Get quantity. Oh, I do already have it. I thought it was crazy that I don't. That makes a lot of sense. So, get quantity, yes. Int resource ID, good. Okay. So where were we? In here we can say int num equals game manager dot inventory dot get quantity, and we want to use costs I dot get ID. That's the resource ID, and then we can say int required equals costs. I know this is a bit verbose, but I'm going to do it this way. So then the percentage that we want is the that, and then I think what I'm going to have to do, because I want text over the bar that's different in each of these cases, because for the overall one, I think a percentage makes sense, but I think for the individual meters for each resource, it makes more sense to do the numbers, as I've discussed a billion times now. So I'm going to pass in the actual string of the display text. So I will copy that out and call this, put into the display text. And so now, yes, it will have a whinge at the 2 points I've used this. So this is in the actual main display that's always there, not the tooltip. We can put in the exact string that we had before, except that percentage. There we go. Because I want to reuse that percentage. Good. And then down here, what we want to do is, instead of that, we want to do %d divided by %d for the moment. I do like your idea, Nick, of showing how many times you can use it for each one. I think for the moment, I'm just going to stick with this, at least until the abbreviation thing is done and it can be a bit more compact. I'm going to do this for now. And so the two things are the num and the required number. And hopefully that should be it. Except that here, I think we also want to change this over to use that get quantity thing. I can't believe that I didn't already have that in like that. Anyway. Okay, let's have a look. Yes, that's got what we want. Okay, let's have a look. 0 out of 1,000, 0 out of 1,000. That's good. And the original one's still a percentage, so that's good. Yes, I think this is working. I think this is good. Cool. I mean, there's a lot of room to the right, but I think that's because where I could do how many times you can use it, but I think that's because the description or the name of the item is long enough that it's giving us enough space. You know what? I should just check. If I unlock another item as well, it's very hacky, then we should be able to see that hopefully it works in all the cases. Isn't it? No edge cases. Okay. Okay, yeah, okay. This this is something I will need to handle. As you can see, I'm not giving enough space for this, so I need to account for this width as well in the calculation. Okay, so for the tooltip, glad I checked this. In the tooltip, we have the width, which is the maximum between the title and the description. But in this case, we need the actual the resources in there as well. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. I think I'm getting too hungry, but this is so close to being in a good spot to leave it. So I just want to get the last little bit. All right, assets. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. Textures. Power meter. Yes. So how big are you? These details. 64. Okay. So it's 2 times the texture size, and then there's probably 1, 2, 3 margins in there. So that's that. So then I guess we call it line width just to be consistent, which is game.textureSize times 3 plus theme.margin. I think there's 3 margins. So then when we calculate the width, it's the maximum between the text width and the title height. And actually, does max take? It's just 2. Okay. I was hoping it would take like a list of things, but that's okay. The max of those 2 and then the line width as well. So hopefully now that should be correct. But it also might mean that space that I was talking about earlier on the right-hand side of the meters was, yeah, again, literally only because the title was long enough. Does it have both? It does. I will fix that bug one day where I can't click on anything immediately. Okay. Yes. Okay, that's fixed. Oh, but then the resource name could be very long as well. So it's not necessarily this gets tricky fast, doesn't it? Okay. Oh, but then it's like if there's multiple resources, got to find the maximum length of the name of the resource for each resource that's available. Okay, for the moment, I'm going to leave it as it is. And I think this is probably where I'm going to leave it for today, because we've got the const width plus word wrap. I'll just make it super wide. Yeah, I have got a word wrapping thing. This wrapped text object, I can wrap it to a width. So maybe I need to do that. But then it's like, where do you wrap the name of the resource? I guess if there's a space, you just wrap it there. But then each resource won't be a consistent height. I think I would lean more towards the thing just being super wide. I think I'm going to leave it for the moment though, but I think the way to do it, maybe I could just figure out what the maximum, like at the start of running the game, figure out what the maximum, like the longest resource name is and store that somewhere and then use that to know how wide it needs to be. But that seems a bit cheeky. But I think for the moment, I'm going to leave it as it is. Maybe you don't need the name. Yeah, maybe I don't need the name. Because I think the thing is, you can see the icon, and then the icon, if you hover it over over here, you do get the name. So maybe you're right. Maybe I don't need the name. I think it is. I mean, the name literally means nothing to you anyway, does it really? Like, I don't even know the names of all. I vaguely know the names of each thing. But yeah, maybe the name is superfluous. I keep saying that word. I don't know why I keep saying that word. It's just in my brain for some reason. And so I shouldn't be able to do that. Good. And I should be able to do that. Yes. Yes. But for some reason, I think I'm getting like double charged or something for... Okay, so that's ready. And so it says it takes 1,000. And if I use it, I'm now at negative 1,000. I wonder if I'm... it seems like I'm setting the quantity rather than removing the quantity. Remove cost. Get or default. In mind. Okay, so this is again where I can just do the get quantity. Get quantity of costs. Cost.a.getID. And then I've got inventory.set quantity. Actually, I think I've even got... I think I can do this. And it can be negative. I wonder if I do that anyway. Probably not. No. Add resources. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it as set quantity for that to be mined minus cost.b. So this should work in theory, I think. But for some reason it's just, unless it's somehow being called twice. Use yeah, unless it's somehow being called twice. I'll have to suss that out. But I think this is kind of good. This is what I was trying to... I think I've part done what I was hoping to do today, which is good. Alright, so this one is ready. And it should just take 1,000 of these. And that seemed to be what it did. Okay, that seems to be working. I don't know really what the go there was. Okay, and so if I use this one, it should take 1,000 of both. Yep. Okay. I think what I will eventually do is these will be like hotkeys, so you can press like 1, 2, or 3, or however many there are, and use the numbers to select them rather than having to click on it. But yeah, that's working. That's cool. The fog bomb is completely overpowered. Like, oh, it's not ready. I was like, why doesn't it work? And it's actually working how it should work. So that's good. I think I need more of those. Yes. Okay. Gee, that really blends in with the background, that resource, doesn't it? I need to change the color of that. Get or default was... but this, I think this get quantity literally does that under the hood. So I'm not entirely sure what the I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. I wonder if I was accidentally not giving it the right ID, and so then it was trying to get the wrong thing that didn't exist, so it was giving me 0 back. I think that's probably the best bet. But yeah, I think this is all working. So I think I'm going to probably call it there. Like I was saying though, eventually this will be hotkeys. So you'll be able to, instead of having to come down here to click it, you'll be able to just, use it, which will be good. But yeah, thanks for joining me for my first ever stream and, having a bit of fun. I think it was good. I have no idea. Let me know. If you want to play the current version of Star Mining, sorry, not like the current version, because obviously I'm working on the current version, but the latest version of the released playtest is on the Steam page, which is in the description. There's also a link to the Discord where we hang out and have fun and talk about random stuff. So if you want to join that, there's a link for that as well. And yeah, otherwise, thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Some very valuable feedback in the chat, which is so helpful. So thank you for that. And Nick, I know you're tired, so please get a good night's sleep. And I'm going to go and have some lunch now. So see you guys. Have a good one.